All right. Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm Joe Bernstein, and here with my man, Paul Newell. And we are doing Coffee with Paul and Joe. Water edition. Afternoon, actually.
Yep.
All right. So, I don't need to drink. Today, we're talking about what it feels like, looks like, what needs to happen for a man to rise up, for a man to overcome, for a man to ascend, actually. And what's fascinating to me is I was just reading in a book today about marketing, how a lot of the time when we're marketing, what's really happening is we're looking at status roles and we're influencing people that either want to raise their status role or some people actually want to lower their status role, right? And so what's phenomenally interesting to me is that we idealize the come up, the rise up, the overcoming of the obstacle in our world. But because of the way we've identified our hierarchies, especially with men and masculinity, we pretend like the bottom's not there. We pretend like the depression's not there. The anxiety's not there. We pretend like the breakup didn't bother us. We pretend like we don't have ED. We pretend like, the doctor didn't just tell us that we need to get our act together or we're going to be seeing them for a very different reason. We pretend like, the wife nagging us or the girlfriend nagging us, it's not a real problem. This is, she's just being her. No, there's a real issue in the relationship and we don't want to address it, right? So my point is, because of status roles and because of status symbols and the way we operate as men, we get this idea that we're supposed to have it all together. We're supposed to know everything. We're not supposed to need help. And then we isolate when things aren't working. So I would challenge everyone in the world, and this is what our discussion is going to be about. It's like, A, how do you actually rise up? Because we actually don't talk about that much.
Right.
But B, what does it mean to know, to be honest, to be authentic, to actually experience the bottom parts or even just the low parts that we want to rise from? You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm thinking based on the conversation that we had.
Yes.
And I know that, spoiler alert, everybody who is making a video on the internet right now, which is like any coach, any consultant, any healer, any thought leader, any celebrity, any musician, anyone who's creative and is willing to put themselves out there experiences loss, setbacks, obstacles, depressions, anxieties. Imposter syndrome is huge for those that are powerful. Huge. So everyone's experiencing it. Not a lot of people are showing it. I've experienced some versions of mini depressions for the last few months. We were just talking. I know you're raising your hand. You were talking. You were in one a little bit this week.
Yep.
But we are powerful dudes who rise up all the time. So let's unpack this. Let's uncover this, and let's peel back the onion a little bit.
I'm game for this, man.
Okay.
Because listen, I tell you what, being able to have this conversation is long overdue. Because this means something where those times when men go in those low points, some men don't come out. You and I talked about realities. Let's call the reality. Some men do not come out. So I'm appreciative of the fact that we're going to go into how we recognize and idealize and recognize the reality of like what we were saying, and then also how do we know to get through these things. So let's dive in, man. Let's dive in. I want to start off with the experience I had recently, because that's where So I had working with my coach. Coaches get coached too. It's an opportunity for me to stretch my boundaries. And in this session, I got to come face to face with what my gifts are. And that's an uncomfortable place for me. A lot of times other people see it in me. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know I could do this. I know I could do this. But really being authentic and staying in the gifts, Joe, is a space where it's like, oh, wow, like, because there's this space for me that I want to conform, because as a man, I need to provide. As a man, I need to think I don't want people to think I don't have it all together. Why would they hire me if I did this or I didn't know this? And there became this space where I was really low and I didn't want to get out of bed. I started off with a migraine. I was like, oh no, what the heck is going on? And then it was just like, boom. And I felt like sludge. And that's a space I've been in before where it's really low, man. And I have a tendency to go drink or go numb some way, get lost in a meaningless show, porn, whatever, just like something to just numb or distract myself. And that was when, for me, that's a low period, because that's saying that, for me, that's saying that's something I'm not addressing. Now, when I started to dive into this is where it can get really interesting. Men that are watching this, is it was a space for me, as I recognized in this last experience, where I got to monitor my thoughts and run through them and just observe them, not get caught in them. And what the hell does that even mean? This begins with a meditation practice or a mindfulness practice. Joe, you and I have talked about this many times, because those are one of the things that can help in those spaces. And I got to observe my thoughts. And those down spaces, I recognize this time, Joe, is that's a space for me to move into my next form or phase. There's like a sadness there. There's a
Right.
there's a piece of me that I'm saying goodbye to. And that's a sad space. That's a sad space for me. And not to assume it's for everyone else, but for me, that's a sad space. So that's a reality of it, like, that I want to make sure we got across, or that I express from my perspective, that space that we can go in. And I love how you mentioned, like, the men that are watching, or the people that, coaches, healers, whatever. We all go through this.
Yeah.
Most people don't say a thing, because they, oh no, I can't let them know that. Oh no. And so that's a space. And I want to ask you, because you said you had experienced some things like this, some lower spots. What was it for you when you recognized, like, oh man, I'm in a different vibration than I usually am in? What was that tell for you?
So historically or recently?
Recently. Yeah.
So recently, if I have the urge to hit the snooze button on my phone,
Yeah.
something's off. I'm usually like 5 a.m., boom, wake up, get up, do my stuff, sit on the cushion, go do my exercise, meditate, that is. For those. So I won't necessarily feel a lot of sadness or grief. In fact, I do work to expand my power. I do work to be able to access my sadness and grief. It doesn't come naturally for me. My body, my mind won't take me there on my own. I actually go and take dips into that world on purpose, so I can feel how powerful I can be, so I can touch the things that keep me motivated and focused to help others.
Right.
So anyway, as a side note, but the reality is I won't be sad. I will be maybe a little more apathetic. I won't be as sharp mentally. I won't be as excited for a workout. I might want to hit the snooze. I might want to kind of unconsciously watch TV. And there's a difference between conscious and mindful consumption of things that do soothe us, and unconscious numbing with the things that soothe us.
Oh, that's a whole other conversation.
God. I'm big on, like, there's really, sometimes you got to actually proactively choose to do the numbing activities, and they're in control when you make the choice rather than feel pulled. Anyway, so that's what it looks like for me. What it looks like for me too sometimes is like, so I guess I've experienced a little bit of a version of that state recently. And like the other night, I was seeing this woman that I've been dating, that I'm in this newer relationship in. And part of it was interesting. Like, I didn't feel down. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel anxious. I just noticed I wasn't holding eye contact as long. I didn't feel as connected. I was distracted more. So that's another tell. If I'm with someone I really enjoy and care about, and I'm like not as connected, that's a tell that there's something stirring for me. There's a version of a depression in that. Because if I'm with you, and like in you, and like feeling you and I'm excited, or I probably wouldn't decide to spend time with you.
Right.
So that's another. So mine can be subtle. That's what I want to say. Like, it's tricky for me. It
Hmm.
doesn't. It won't look like to anyone else. It'll never look like I'm feeling some lower state.
So you don't go in a cave. That's not your
No,
thing. You're like,
no,
nah,
no,
that's my thing.
no.
I
I
break
don't
things
have
down.
that version. And I had to learn what I'm like when I'm vibrant and alive and excited and passionate. Because my first 31 years or so, I kind of lived in this version of a mild depression. So I actually had to
Mm.
learn what it was like and then see, oh, depression or anxiety in me does not look like what it looks like in the movies. It doesn't even necessarily look like what a therapist might describe it as, or how it's described as maybe a syndrome in the mental health world.
Right.
But it is a depression. There's a part of us, there's a part of me that often feels very alive that isn't showing up to the party today.
Mm.
And you're just like, otherwise things are fine.
So what are some steps, like when you realize things are off, let's share some
Yeah,
steps that
do
we
that.
can take to get out of it, or to, like you mentioned, ascend. Now, like
Rise.
rise up.
Yeah, the reality is I'd like to make this about rising up, but we have to acknowledge that the low points exist and we have to
Mhm.
understand them if we want to be a badass master expert at rising up. Right? So,
Talk to him, man. Yeah.
you know
What,
what I
so
mean?
what do
You
you mean
can't.
by that? So like, what is that? What is that like for people that are
Well,
watching? What what are some steps then to idealizing the low spot, like the underneath, the underworld, or what have
yeah. I think the first thing that I'm learning and I'm starting to teach a lot is actually allow it.
you? Mm-hmm.
When we actually allow it, um, when we take, you can go, all right, honey, I'm gonna go take a little walk by myself,
There it is.
and you listen to your sad music, whatever. Cool. Or maybe you're privileged enough to be able to say, like, I'm gonna take a half day today, going in late. I'm taking a sick day, right? Maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
do that. So giving yourself space to actually feel it, to me, is one of the first things to transform it,
Mm-hmm.
because these energies will live, and if we repress them and deny them, they'll stay.
Yeah, that's I
Let them
like that
let
idea.
them flow. Let them
I like
flow.
that. Yep. So
Um,
it's like surrender. I hear that as
yeah.
surrender. Like, yo, just let. Okay, I
Well,
give
this
it.
sort.
Huh?
And we tend to think, especially with depression or anxiety, that if we let go, we're like, imagine you're in a river, fast moving river, and you're holding onto a branch, and
Mm-hmm.
most of your body's in there, and you're like, oh my God, it's going to take me away if I let go. Well, a lot of the times we let go, we realize this river is actually kind of like a chill river, and there was a raft and a tube, and then I floated down it for about a minute or two,
Yep.
and there were a couple choppy points, but it wasn't actually as bad as I thought. It ended quicker than I thought. And at the end, somebody was there with like a sandwich and a beer for me. So, so, so when we allow it, it actually can move a lot quicker. So that's
Yeah.
the first thing I would say. And then there's all kinds of other things that I would actually recommend as far as working with our states from a kind of like biophysical, metaphysical as well perspective.
Hmm.
You know?
Like, what do you mean? So, like movement, like, yeah, okay. That would be my thing. Although that movement, I would say, yeah, and that's true. Yes. Um, the low points, I really like what you said, and I I'm saying the surrender piece. And it's the same thing you mentioned, the allowing. That surrender is so important because trying to stop, doing our best to stop flow will have us out of alignment with our gifts, man, with what we're really bringing to the table, what's unearthing itself. I had and it's interesting. There's a call. I had a interview to this guy Jan Hutchins out on the West Coast, and he was talking a lot about self-awareness. And he said something. He said, we lose awareness of our gifts when we're stuck in trying harder. And there's that surrender piece, like, just, okay, what is this that's coming my way? What's this feeling? Like, oh, this stinks. Being clear about it, where you feel it, like what's the memory that comes up. It for some people that watch it, be like, that sounds freaking nuts. Okay, I get it, and give it a go, because being able to release and express whatever comes up while we're in those spaces is incredibly beneficial. It's incredibly beneficial because it's allowing it to be expressed. It's just like if you're trying to hold in a sneeze, right? If you try to hold in a sneeze and you just so happen to have some mucus in your nostrils, guess what? That junk's going to be on your upper lip. There's a possibility, okay? Don't act like it hasn't happened to a lot of folks, okay? Why I say that is something's coming out. And
Yeah.
And if we don't recognize that, or like when it's there for us, like, okay, I'll accept it, surrender to it, what have you, it's gonna come out in some way that most likely gonna be destructive. Because it's like, oh, you don't want to listen to me? You don't want to listen to me? Okay, here we go. Can I get that sledgehammer? Thanks. I'm gonna jack up this cat's life real quick. So yeah, that's my go-to. Surrender, and then call a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Call a friend, and the friend's got to be someone that's willing to listen. Shut the hell up. Ask questions. It's not a time for you to give advice. It's not a time to go to a titty bar. It's not a time to go drink. It's a time to freaking just chill, have a conversation, ask questions, and then be there for your friend.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to add this too.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually not the friend's job to know how to do that, because no one teaches us that shit.
True.
If I need help, like Paul, if I'm going to call you, I know as men what we're going to do. We're going to problem solve. So if I don't want you to problem solve, I got to be like, Paul, here's what I want. I want to talk. I want you to listen. I want you to tell me it'll be okay.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
if I'm ready for advice, I'm going to ask. Otherwise, I just need you to hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, this is important. And this is an amazing relationship skill in romantic relationships.
Ooh, buddy.
To ask for that, but to also maybe like, babe, I know you're upset. Would you like me to just listen? Would you like me to help troubleshoot? Would you like me to just reflect back what I hear? You want me to shut up and just hug you, or maybe a little more?
Yeah.
Like, there's that, right? So, it's the answer a lot of the time. But in my mind, right? That's always, there you go. But so I wanted to add that. But to me, though, there are some tangible things that are physiological. Get into some sunlight. Get some fresh air. These are actually proven to increase the hormones that will have us feeling happy and confident and grounded, and decrease the hormones that have us feeling stressed, sad, and depressed.
Yeah, buddy.
In the time where you're stressed, I know you want the Ben & Jerry's. It's actually a time to like go treat yourself to maybe a fancy healthy meal instead, or to eat really well, because sugar and oil and low quality carbohydrates will have an impact on your body in a way where it'll be harder to get out.
But Joe, when I'm depressed, they just taste so good.
No, they don't. You don't taste shit when they're depressed. You've been taught that by the world around you, and sugar feels good to give you a little high for a second. And salt and fat, they're hardwired to feel like you're being nourished. You know why? Actually, want to talk about this? Because I'm an eating psychology coach as well on the DL. I don't talk about it that much.
Now you can.
Well, literally,
uh-huh.
We are hardwired to seek out and find the things that are more rare in nature, but that we need. Salt, sugar, and fat. They don't show up that easily. Fat, you probably had to kill something or live by nut trees, basically, or avocado trees. Salt, that's only going to be found in the ocean, or it's going to be found deep within the earth. Minerals like salt, it's really rare that you would find salt in nature. And sugar, unless you live in a tropical area, or your tribe, or your hunter-gatherer ancestors in a tropical area, you didn't get sugar too often. You got it in the summer if you're lucky, or you got it because somebody in your tribe was like, I am fearless and I'm going to go climb that tree and get stung 50 times to get the honey, you know?
Mm.
So I watch a lot of nature shows too. So that shit really happens still today. But anyway, you know, so what's happening is if you are in a depression, your body is actually reserving or conserving resources. Literally, your body and mind are conserving resources. Your body thinks it's a time where you may need to reserve your energy and reserve your hormones that will have you happy and healthy. Right? So then what it tells you to do is it's like, if you have the salt, sugar, fat available, give it to me, because I think that I'm coming into a famine, or I think that I'm starving, or I'm thinking we're about to go to war, or I'm thinking I'm malnourished. So that's why we think it tastes good, but chances are you're not that mindful in the moment. You're not that awake to the flavors of what you're eating.
Right.
And you're literally just like replenishing a reserve that you don't need.
Right.
It's not actually lacking. Anyway, side note.
Yeah, that was a good little gem, man. That was a good little segment. Bonus material. You just got bonus material.
The mentor for eating psychology says, you got to give people the scientific mind cookies. You know, it's like just a little bit of science and then a lot of soul, right?
Mind cookie. That's brilliant.
Well, we like sugar. Anyway, so anyway, these physiological things, I really, you know, it's proven science. Even a 20-minute walk has a huge impact on brain activity, hormonal health. A run, go exercise, go ride a bike. You know, I have tons of friends in the city. I live right in DC, and people ride bikes. And I know people who ride bikes who don't need to. They don't need to. It's not a monetary thing. They're like, it is joyful. The first few hours of work when I commute to work, I had endorphins going because I'm dodging traffic, and I rode through the park where on this path, and there was trees everywhere, and I saw a squirrel running after. No, you know, people get a lot of joy. So cycling, things like that. I have a friend who started, you know, when he's depressed, he's like, okay, I got to make sure that I wake up early and I go swimming. Because for him, swimming, for some reason, just like brings out some childhood nostalgia, works his body. He gets to feel supported because a lot of us like are lighter. We almost even float in water. It's all this interesting stuff, right? So that's part of it. I like what you said, meditation, journaling helps a lot.
Big time.
Journaling like a mother. I don't know what it is about the hand, eye, heart, mind, coordination or collaboration, but
expression, man.
It just lets it out, you know. If you're a musician or artist, go engage your art. Right? Like there's so many things that you could be doing as well. Like you said, call a friend.
Yeah.
Find some live music or something at a bar. Like engage in soulful work, engage in spirit, engage in body.
So I gotta say, man, I love these suggestions. And men that are watching, or whoever's watching, start to find these things when you're on the highs, man. Start to look for these things. Get curious, because I'm telling you, you'll find some things that when you are in a space, you'll be like, yo, man, let me go get some freaking a canvas and some paints.
Yeah.
Real quick. Let me take this afternoon and just put some splat blib blibby dot on the freaking canvas. Start to explore these things, because I'm telling you, when you have that, when one gets that space, for me, listen, it makes it easier to use the tools when you're in the low.
Right.
When I don't practice things on a consistent basis, and I'm learning this in a lot of areas in my life, as above, so below. How I want to do one thing is how I do everything.
Right.
Is when I'm not doing something on a regular basis, when I need it, it's going to be when I do things on a regular basis, it's easier for me to access it when I'm in a lower spot.
Right.
When I'm inconsistent, it makes it more difficult to access or to work on the ascension. You see, so it's just something to note as we're going through this. I know we're going to wrap up soon, so I just want to make sure people are aware of that. Like, practice that on the quote unquote high times. Yeah,
or identify things you might want to try. Because one of the things that stood out for me, which you said, that was actually really brilliant, Paul. That might be the best thing on this video. Is you are not curious or creative when you're feeling depressed, anxious, overwhelmed, or like you're an imposter, or you are short on time or money. Like you're not. Again, your body and mind are doing what it needs, thinks it needs to do to survive, which is conserve resources. When we're conserving resources, we're actually not going to be creative. We're not going to be curious.
Right.
And it's going to feel like a chore to go do research to figure out which place around me has a piano that I can go play, or like who has music playing, or whatever the thing may be.
Right.
I'm going to look at the price of the workout class and go, man, fuck that. I
Yeah.
can't afford that right now. You know, like
Yeah.
when you're already in the flow, when you already know it, when you're already prepared, when you're inoculated to the experiences, it's easier to step back in.
Right.
So it is a time to step into routine. It is a time to meditate. It is a time to journal. It is a time. I'll be honest, and I tell people all the time, I am almost always working some sort of affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
If I get down on myself at all, I'll always write a list of affirmations. And it sounds kind of like this. What would I really need to hear? What would I want to hear from someone who sees me more thoroughly and who cares about me? I'm write that down. I literally will say them. I'm a big verbal processor. So
what's that processor?
Like verbal.
Oh, verbal. Okay. Yes.
Verbal.
Gotcha.
I process so much through words and out loud, and writing helps too. But actually, for me, affirmations really work. Some people, they don't. It depends on how we learn and how we engage and how we absorb information. So there's just so much, but you gotta get working. You gotta get doing something.
Right, man. Wow, hit it on the head. Ding. Yeah, engaging, man. Do something. Now, especially if you're watching this, you're like, I feel great, man. I don't know what the hell these guys are talking about. Perfect. Go freaking find something you like, man. Get something fresh.
Well, and actually, and again, I know we're wrapping up, but like, that's it. Just do it. Nike. Just go do something.
Yeah, man.
Go walk, put on your shoes, go outside, take a walk, get in your car, whatever. Do something. Pick up your phone, look through all your contacts, and figure out who you're calling.
Yeah, man.
You know, pick up a book. Something, right? Something that is relatively healthy.
Yeah, man. Damn. Well, you know what you can do is I got a thing called the Men Talk About. It's a men's mastermind online. So if you want something, that's coming out too. Come check that out. Always there for support, man. Group of men, no judgment, authentic space. Find that you can come to do this, or find it somewhere else. That could be a thing. So let's wrap this. Let's start to wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Well, we can't address this topic in one video.
Nah.
And I'm going to be honest. We really, this video is nice, but the reality is we need individualized support. We need to know ourselves enough. We need to have self-awareness to like really actually understand what will help me shift out of this.
Yeah, man.
And sometimes it's trial and error. So honestly, that's one of the reasons it is helpful to reach out to work with people, to be in a group, to work with a coach, because it's hard to do it alone. And we need personalized support if we can afford it, right? Yeah. So that's something I do want to say is don't just think that your answers are all going to be right here or in Facebook memes or in Psychology Today articles. And to really bottom line this, we all want to rise up. We all want to become stronger. We all want to pull our status up. We want to provide. We want to serve. We want to be desirable. We want to like be engaged in life.
Right.
And all of us have times where we're not. So if we want to be a master, a badass, a king at rising up, then let's start with first acknowledging the truth. We all experience some down moments. We all experience setbacks. We all fall on our faces. Everybody.
Word.
Yeah, when you become a master of getting back up, you transform and dissolve the fear of falling.
Yep. And no, it's always going to be there.
Yeah, it'll be there.
It's just, man. I love that we talk about these topics, man. So you guys have seen our email and our contact information throughout this episode. Connect with us, contact. So when you see this video, share it. Put it out there. Like, actually, when you see it, put in the comments, like, what are some things, as you've gone through some of these low points, what are some things that you've experienced, or what are some things that you've done on your ascensions, or what are some things that you've appreciated about the low points? we'd love to hear it because that may be something we could discuss in the next episode.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love your feet.
It's the mother of D-R-E. Dude, Joe. Yeah, sorry, man. Go ahead. Yeah, you know how I do, man. I gotta say something, man. I gotta say something. Come on, man.
Ooh, that's another one just to add to that here.
What's up? Singing?
Sing as loud as you fucking want. Go in your car, crank up the thing you used to listen to in high school, sing it.
Dude, let me tell you what. That's one of my go-tos.
Soul free.
I sing Seal. I sing Seal, man. Like, yo.
You want to sing us out? You want to sing us out?
These human beings, if you please, they would. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna. I just did a little bit. That's a teaser. All right, everybody. Listen, thank you. Blessings. And until the next episode, peace.